probably seen lots of images of plant cells, but what do those cells actually look like under a microscope, and how are they different from animal cells? If you have a microscope and would like to do this yourself, you will need a slide, a pair of tweezers, a thin slice of celery, a slide cover, and some blue dye. The blue dye is optional, but it does help make it easier to view the cells. You can make your own blue dye at home by diluting blue food coloring with water. In a small jar or a container, add 5 to 10 drops of food coloring. Then add the same amount of water, 5 to 10 drops. Also, be sure your celery sample is as thin as possible. Place the celery sample onto the center of the slide. Add a drop of the blue dye if you are using it. Cover the sample with the cover slide. Gently and carefully press down on the slide cover. This will help to thin out the sample even more and secure the cover to the slide. We will start with the smallest objective, or the smallest of the 3 lenses at the bottom of the microscope. Starting at the smallest objective lets us find the specimen and bring it into focus before we enlarge it. But even at the smallest of magnifications, we can already see the cells. If you've already viewed the animal cell, you probably notice right away that there are many differences between the 2 cells. The defining difference between the 2 cells is that plant cells have the ability to produce their own food sugars through photosynthesis. But can you spot some of the physical differences between the cells? Now we will zoom in using the next objective lens. This lens will bring the magnification to 100 times the cell's normal size. This is where we can really start to see details of the cells. The differences between the animal and plant cells are really becoming apparent here. What do you notice about the shape of the cells and the size? How is this different from the animal cells? Finally, we will use the longest objective to magnify the cell to 400 times its original size. Like with the animal cell, you can probably see some of the organelles at this magnification. Let's use this magnification to focus in on one cell. What do you notice about its size and shape now? How is the shape different from the shape of the animal cell? Like with the animal cell, we can see clearly defined borders around each cell, only these borders have a very defined rigid shape. That is because plant cells have an extra layer of protection, an additional organelle that surrounds the cell membrane, known as the cell wall. The cell membrane is still there, but it sits just inside the cell wall. Plant cells also have a nucleus, just like the animal cells, which you might be able to spot inside some of the cells. Now that you've looked at both animal and plant cells, what would you say they have in common? What is different about the cells?